right, welcome to another fun episode of Gamers Den. I've got my partner in crime, Kara, on here, and I've got a guest, Siren from Kato Gaming.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I just heard about you. I'm so excited to talk to you. You're a health coach. I think that's so cool.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk to you. You just rock.
Thanks.
So we got two best friends already made here on Gamers Den today. This is pretty awesome. Before we get started, I want to make sure, Siren, you have an opportunity to introduce you, what you do, where you're from, and how you decided on the hair choice that I voted on.
You did. Hi, everybody. My name is Siren. I am the chief marketing exec and I guess face of Cedo Gaming. We are an esports competitive tournament coordinator company thing. I know I screwed that up. They gave me the line. I know I screwed it up, but
the marketing coordinator screwed up the line.
I know, right? They like wrote it down for me too. So, Cedo Gaming, what we do is, so it's interesting, right? Right now, I think the economy for gaming is really changing. Where it used to be something that was more small streamers, gamers, and there was some cooperation, but you had big players like Ninja and stuff like that really only ate up in the esports community. But now we're looking at NFL teams in with their money. We're looking at Post Malone with his money, Coca-Cola, all these huge companies. And because it's such a new economy, Cedo really wants to work on pulling people together. So we are not a league. We don't have our own players. We're not, pushing anybody or anything like that. Our idea is to keep entry fees low, payouts high, give somewhere for everyone to kind of hone their skills, practice internationally. We've got players from the Netherlands. We've got players from the UK. We've got players from Italy. It's turning into this really cool international thing. And I love that. I love that we're kind of taking that back, if that makes sense, because now we're getting that real big money into the ecosystem. And I want to make sure that the individual players and the smaller leagues and the semi-pros aren't getting lost, because that's the beginning, right? That's where it all starts for gamers. That's where it starts for FaZe. I mean, they're going to the semi-pros, the smaller ones. You know what I mean? How do they stay afloat? Basically, how do you compete against Coca-Cola money or NFL money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we are attempting to build some bridges and, use the competitive outlet as a way to bridge that gap between the smaller streamers and the smaller semi-pro leagues against FaZe.
Gotcha. How, for example, you have those smaller streamers and the smaller gamers. What games are you focusing on, and how do they get involved with Cedo?
So right now, it's interesting. Actually, all of the monsters that are on all of us that you guys know about, all of the on-staff monsters are all a niche. So like for me, I'm your mobile gamer. I play like Clash Royale and Clash of Clans and whatnot. We've got Cerberus, who is our League of Legends and Apex Legends guy. We've got Moby Dick. He picked that name. I love it.
But he was a whale.
And then we also have Leviathan, who's Call of Duty, and then Nessie, who just herds cats around, basically. But right now, we only really have Fortnite and Call of Duty. We're attempting to get. We obviously have the people to run it. We're just kind of attempting to get our feet under us a little bit more. It is so competitive. It's so much harder. That whole new ecosystem thing I was talking about earlier, I mean, it's intense. So right now we're really focusing on actually attaining some contracts with either private schools or military bases. All of us are also military or defense contractors. So we've gone to a couple military bases. We're trying to work with them to gain some contracts there. So right now it's just Call of Duty and Fortnite on Friday and Saturdays. We're moving to multiplayer because we are, like I said, doing contracts with the schools and the military. So once that is up and running, I'm super excited to kind of branch out and do all the things. All the games.
Nice.
There's some group down in Durham, North Carolina called Bull City Gaming that can help you out with some stuff.
I
needless to say-
know, I love it. I also love this. I love that we all come together and that we're all like, it's awesome.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure, honesty, you have to deal with the same things that I have to deal with some of the individuals that don't really know like that end game, because you're playing that same pass through that I'm playing. My main focus has been more so on Rocket League, Fortnite, starting to get a little bit more League of Legends, some of the Smash Brothers and the fight game community stuff. That's where my path has been with the Bull City Gaming stuff. Mm-hmm. However, before I get down that tangent, what I was trying to go to is you've had to deal with some of the craziness in terms of some of the players that I've had to deal with.
Yeah.
However, there is an individual here with us who could possibly give us some insight on what are ways that we could help lead our players in the correct direction, rather than just them being frustrated at life, them being frustrated about, well, I'm not eating right, or what are the best ways that I can focus my stress in a different manner.
Mm-hmm.
Kara?
How to not act like a fool, and eating habits following that? No. Well, yeah, no. No, yeah. So, first of all, I'm just, hey, little man's behind you. Sorry.
Out again.
So, I'm just enamored by all of this because, it just gaming, just learning about it, and that it really is just a whole other world than some random dudes living in their mom's basement just playing games. Right? It's different and it's super cool. And I keep telling myself I need to tell my brother about this show, and I don't. Like, I don't know. He's anyway, so yeah, I'm a health coach, and I help with mind, like thoughts and feelings and gut health. It's all intertwined, and you have your goals, right? So for your people, it would be gaming, and that's priority. And how do you strengthen yourself around that? My brother told me that most people strengthen themselves. So, just kind of defining what nutrition and what health is for that individual. It's important. And I feel like I'm cutting out too, so I'm going to move. Okay, yeah, this is better. Sorry, guys.
Oh, there we go. It's okay.
Better? Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I don't know what you heard and what you didn't. So, whatevs. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we heard pretty much all of it, which led actually to another tease that you had. But we can save that tease till later if you want, or we could start off with that tease, because I think Siren could offer a great definition that you were looking for, that you had asked everybody about last week.
Oh, yeah. Nutrition. What is it? What is it to you?
What is nutrition to me?
Yeah. What's it? When you think of nutrition, what do you think of? What's in your mind?
Vitamins and minerals to, I don't know, make your biological processes work. Nutrition to me has always just been, I'm very basic. I'm sorry. Like, nutrition is food. Like, are you asking like relative to the gaming world or just in general?
In general, because I have like this basic. I just have this project and that I'm working on, and I'm just kind of pulling people's answers. And the reason why I'm asking this question is because everyone cringes and they think that if they give like some wrong answer, then they're going to like, there's going to be like a button pushed and then you're going to like fall
There's a
into
nutrition
like
jail
water
we're all
or
gonna go
like,
to.
yeah, right. Like wrong answer, you know.
And it just falls.
Okay.
She has a trapdoor button. It's not my fault.
Yeah, no, but it kind of serves my point that everyone has a different take and a different understanding on it.
Right.
Like for some people, it means perfectionism and fasting and starving yourself to achieve perfection. And other people, it just means living your life and eating whatever you want. And then other people like you are more specific. Vitamins and minerals.
To me, nutrition it changes. Because I mean, I don't know about you. I've got kiddos. So it's like what was nutritional for me when I was pregnant is probably not as nutritional right now. You need a higher caloric intake. You need a lower cholesterol intake. You know, all of that kind of changes. And that changes throughout your life. So nutrition to me has always been what you need, what your body needs to be right. Sometimes it's more food. Sometimes it's less food. Sometimes it's different food. Sometimes it's probiotics, you know? And that changes, I feel like, from like random day to day. So
yes, it does.
Yeah, so nutrition, that one's tough because I feel like it is a relative term. So I guess, yeah, like we were talking about, I guess to me, nutrition will always be what does your body need to get right?
Yes. I love that answer though, by the way. You're welcome.
See, in another segue or new thing to talk, or a new way to look at it, nutrition, that variance in discussion about nutrition is still the same variance in discussion about gaming. Because if you think about it, your League of Legends players don't really care for first-person shooters at all.
Correct. They're very segregated ecosystems in that world.
Yes. And so if you look at nutrition in a similar vein, your kale eaters.
Oh yeah. Versus your meat eaters, your Atkins guys versus
my
your
goodness.
vegans. Oh my crap. Oh,
and
yeah.
And so with everybody thinking about nutrition in their different light, that, you know, I believe that the Atkins diet is the greatest thing in the world. I believe that you have to be a vegan and you can only eat vegetables and nothing dealing with milk or anything else. That's League of Legends. That's
League of Legends
Fortnite.
versus COD versus Fortnite versus
and the crazy part, like Fortnite players or Valorant players are so specific to Valorant that they won't even look at CSGO, even though CSGO is basically the same game.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, and they have a visceral emotional reaction.
I'm like,
it's
come
like
on.
People on keto. Sorry, I love people who are like on keto, but like people have thoughts on keto, and you either like keto or you don't. But every time you say keto, it's like, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so like gamers are the same way. That's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, very much so. It's super weird, especially when you consider how many games like we were talking about are so similar. They're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Like Apex Legends and Overwatch are pretty damn similar.
Well,
but they will fight like shit.
Don't even bring up Paladins, even though Paladins came out right before Overwatch, and it's the same game.
But you know, I think what that really speaks for is how complete the societal hierarchy is becoming gaming, where now you're starting to see it mirror some of the larger or broader or more universal issues that we have: money, politics, like you're talking about, health, all of that. You start seeing those same sort of segregations and viewpoints, I think, now in gaming, because you actually do have more of a full society now in gaming where you didn't really have that prior.
Very true. Very true. And it's just so wild watching this. If you think about how young the gaming world is, because the communities themselves really haven't broken out until the 90s, even really, because the gaming only started in the 70s.
Right.
So not until the 90s, actually the late 80s, when the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, or actually the NES and the Sega Master System came out, and then everybody started splitting. Then it became game specific, and then it just kept branching out that way.
Mhm.
But again, it's only been roughly about 20, 30 years for this whole community to really develop in comparison to everything else that's
Yes.
been centuries, millennials, millenniums even.
Yeah, but I mean, go back to the Industrial Revolution. It's very similar to that. The technical revolution and the Industrial Revolution are very similar in how it changed cultural norms, societal norms, and how quickly everything changed. And
Yeah.
and basically, you got on board or you got dead. Not necessarily physically, but
Well,
you know what I
yeah,
mean. Like as a business, if you Industrial Revolution starts, Ford makes his wonderful assembly line. You choose not to accept that because Ford likes Nazis or something, which I get that. Then you probably are going to get left behind, and it happened faster and faster and faster. And with the technological revolution, it's even quicker. I mean, now it's instantaneous all over the world. I mean, if you're not hopping on board, you're going to have a problem. You were talking about that earlier, I think, pre-show, when you were maybe talking about how do we explain the gaming world to dinosaurs? I'm going to say dinosaurs. That's the nicest, because I don't think it necessarily has to do with age. You know what I mean? I think it also has to. So, like, I grew up in Oklahoma. I grew up on a cattle ranch.
Okay, go get it.
If I talk games to any one of the people I grew up with, they look at me like I literally am the biggest loser ever. As in, like, what do you mean you're spending all your time inside on the computer? I don't understand. Like, don't you have coyotes out there? You can go shoot them.
Yeah.
Right? So that gap, because I think it happened so fast, has been it gets so wide so quick that how do we bridge that? How do we explain that?
And that leads into trying to break down that barrier between parents and kids, because as a parent, and as you said, you have kids now, and you were talking about nutrition. What you see as nutritious when you were growing up is different from what you see as nutritious now.
Right.
And that's in a similar vein with gaming, where every parent at the age, that we are now has seen some type of digital entertainment, because movies and television are digital entertainment.
Right.
You are not acting in them. You are not participating in them. You are sitting there watching them.
Right.
Sports, you watch them on TV. It's a form of digital entertainment. Gaming is just a little bit more interactive form of digital entertainment. So parents are going to see they see games as if they are just this child thing, like cartoons. Cartoons were made for adults when they first came out.
Yeah.
I mean, Bugs Bunny, Yosemite Sam, all that stuff, that was made for adults. They're not made for kids. But when you grow old, guess what? You think those cartoons are just for kids. Well, they weren't. And it's the same thing with that connection. Well, nutrition, I see it differently now. Games, I see them differently now. So it's just it's that barrier that's there, and it gets placed up. And how do we bridge
I would say that, at least for us, in talks with, because we're in talks with two or three different private schools in the Virginia area and a couple military bases in the Southwest. But as you can imagine, absolutely none of those people that we're talking to are gamers or come from, they're all 50s, 40s, 50s. I mean, they're the administrators at these private schools, or they're generals, or they're, colonels, full bird colonels, and trying to get them to understand this. What we have done most of the time, honestly, is liken it to football. Most American older men can deal with football. Because and you hear it a lot when people are like, well, why are you watching them play a game instead of playing it? Why are you watching football instead of playing it, right? So that is the allegory that we've been trying to use to get them to understand, like, hey, there are scouts, just like for football. There are scholarships, just like for football. Oh, yeah, your school is allocated state-funded money for this, just like football. Like, so for us, we found it easiest to find something analogous for them to understand. With one school, it was lacrosse, which fuck do I know about lacrosse? Sorry. Like, but
He left the room,
that's,
don't worry.
that's what they like. If that's what they know, that's what we go with. You know what I mean?
Fancy.
I'm all for that. Yeah, schmancy. I don't know anything about it. But I'm there with you. I feel like it's super hard to find that common ground, especially considering the fact that, yes, they had some sort of interactive entertainment, but now we've added in, one, international, and two, there is a level of anonymity right now on games, internet, the whole nine, right? Where, I mean, we're dealing with, on a lower level, like cyberbullying and stuff, right? Because people can say and do whatever the hell they want behind a random screen name and then get a new one, right? So I think there's also a fear in that for people who aren't in the gaming world, for people who aren't necessarily like talking about it, dealing with it, seeing what's going on, knowing or being informed on what kind of fail-safes there really are in the gaming world now. I think a lot of the reticence too is on that. So one, they discredit it as being for children, like you were saying, or, not viable, I'm thinking kids need to go to hard science classes and they need to get degrees in hard sciences and blah, 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 blah. That's that generation. That's all the boomers and crap, and trying to explain to them that it is different, but two, it's also safer than you think, because they have a fear of all humans have a fear of the unknown, but this is one they really aren't in and they can't seem to catch up on. So I think those Dr. Phil or Oprah, my kid got, cyberbullied and then picked up by a hobo thing. I think that it scares the crap out of them. Those random stories. I'm talking about those.
Oh yeah. I did. So last week you'd missed it last week. Kara jumped on and had, hey, little Johnny, and now you got me with the hobo thingy.
Hobo, it happens.
No, not the hobo. I'm talking about the hobo thingy.
Tender, but
hobo
it's not on Oprah or Dr. Phil. It's very technical. It's okay. It's okay if you missed that report. It's fine. I'll say it.
So that actually leads me into a good question. Which again, focusing on trying to break down these barriers and get people to understand what's really there. You're female. I'm male. Well, I mean, you might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're female. I'm male.
I think the cartoon is badass.
Yeah. So our experiences in gaming are completely different.
Very much so.
What are some things that you've dealt with, and how did you overcome those things? Because there are some, again, with the show, I want women to express themselves, to give representation, so young girls and young women have an opportunity to say, okay, that's an idea I can use and I can take forward and become great at video gaming myself. So what are some things that you've had to deal with that you overcame or that you just walked away from, but how did you deal with them as well?
Okay.
Deep question.
It's great though. I feel like it's multifaceted, so I want to make sure I catch the different parts of that paradigm. But I think the biggest, I do want to preface with, I'm probably the most eclectic human being. I'm all over the place. Like I said, I grew up on a cattle ranch, so you need a horse broke, you need some, you need me on the Columbine, I'm there. Also, though, grew up as a dancer. I was a classically trained ballet dancer for most of my life. I've been a dance teacher, choreographer, blah, blah, blah. So I've got a little bit of both, a little bit of the leather and a little bit of the lace. I also grew up with just brothers, so I'm a little bit more masculine thinking, I think. That said, I have a little bit of an issue with girl gamers playing the victim because they're girls. Now, don't get me wrong. I've come into contact with a lot of assholes and I mean that in the worst way, if that makes sense. In the most extreme worst way, you meet people that are like, oh, you're a chick, and that's as far as it goes. And they're like, are you any good? Then you also run into them that are like, you're a chick, can I see your tits? But in all reality, the guys get that stupid shit too. I mean, these guys are not rocket scientists. You know what I mean? They're doing that to every chick. They're doing that randomly to dudes. The They're just turds. So I don't think of that as necessarily a female thing, as weird as that sounds. To me, that's just, that guy's an idiot. Like, I've never had an issue walking away from that and just being like, that guy's just a dummy. Which doesn't sound highly intelligent as I'm articulating it out. I think for me, the biggest thing is finding a level of comfort in myself and being okay with losing. So in gaming, it's trash talking is 50% of playing games, and it's half the fun, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You're always going to be repping your peeps. You're always going to be talking crap about how good you are. And you're always, even when you lose, well, I'm coming back for you. That's half of the fun, I think, in gaming. There's always that line step. And I think it does happen more often with females, especially if we tend to be any good at a game. Females that are good at gaming, you're going to get two very big extremes, and those are the only ones you get. You get the people that want pictures of your feet, and then you get the people, yeah, that's a thing. That's happened not once, but 4 times to me. That's not a thing. You get the people that are like, ooh, girl gamer who's not sucky, I want a picture of her feet. And then you get the people that are like, girl gamer, and she's not sucky, I'm going to destroy her soul. Like, those are the only two, it feels like a lot of times. But I'll be honest, I'm not sure that it's much different for dudes. I mean, look at Stone Mountain and stuff. He's got some hardcore fans that I'm pretty sure are asking for pictures of his feet. Like,
nobody wants pictures of my feet. I don't want to show my brains to nobody.
But
I think you're going to find weirdos anywhere. And I just think that for women in gaming, the biggest thing is going to be, one, knowing it going in. Like, don't be shocked. Like, it's not a personal thing. These psychos are out there. If you get into the ecosystem, you're going to have to deal with it. Just like if you go outside, you have to deal with the weather. And also, you have as much control over these weirdos as you do over the weather. So how do you deal with the weather? To me, that's how I deal with these people. I'm going to know the game kind of going in. I've got an idea of how they're going to treat me by how I train, when you start a new game. How is the community as a whole more, good job, I appreciate it, keep going, keep grinding, you're doing great? Or are they more like, you suck? As soon as you kind of figure that out going in, though, your expectations are set. Just like the weather. You look out the window, it's cloudy, your expectations are set. Gotcha. So I think one of the biggest things for women, well, in gaming in general, but women particularly, is just being aware, because we tend to be more emotional. We tend to take it more personally. When somebody tells us that we have done poorly, when we work our butts off, to do something, that is more emotionally. And we have our endocrine system is more hormonal. We have more feels. It's physiological, and that's okay. But it's being able to temper that prior, knowing what you're getting into. You're not afraid of it. You know what I mean? You're going to have the trash talkers, and either turn it off, turn your mic off and not listen to it, or start owning it. Start making that joke. I start making female jokes. If they want to start joking on me for being a girl gamer, I go in too. I'm like, who knew I could get out of the kitchen? Like, they only let me out every few hours, stuff like that, because what does it matter? So either the protection for me that I would say for little girls or anyone else getting into gaming, or females, is know what you're getting into. Be able to accept that you're gonna lose, so that you're emotionally ready for it. And then also join in. It's not that critical. Literally, none of it is. You're still beautiful. You're still great. And as long as you are consistently counting yourself and your greatness by your ability to continue going, you're set. That's for anything in life, right? How do you deal with the adversity? If you just keep going, you're winning.
Okay. That's a good perspective. I mean, again, that's a really good perspective, because a lot of times, and everybody has, again, wrapping it back to our original conversation on nutrition, people have different views on different things, and that's a good perspective to hear, because a lot of times, as you even started with your answer, and even prefacing it with that the protectionism, or playing the victim, or even being afraid to. That happens a lot. And I think that deters a lot of parents, that deters a lot of women gamers and a lot of minority gamers, because a lot of minorities get hit with not the same thing, but something similar in terms of a lot of.
I mean, we could get into that, but yeah. But you know what? Honestly, what I think it all boils down to, if I'm being genuine, is in life, in gaming, all of it, it's all kind of mirrored. The bottom line is, are you okay? Can you be okay? Because you can't control them. You can't control the games. You can't control the weather. You can't control people who disagree with you on politics. You can't. Are you going to be okay? Will you deal with it? Or will you let them kick you out? Oh, well, I don't want to play anymore. They hurt my feelings. Or do you let them turn you into a victim, or do you take the power back? To me, that's always the question. And I think that gets forgotten a lot. And that we're so busy in this cancel culture right now going, well, they hurt my feelings. And I don't like it when they use the word donations instead of tips, because I think technically that's a legal term only for charity. Like, okay. Like, everybody's got their soapbox. Everybody gets upset over these things, and you're going to have that. But how do you deal with that? Do you freak out and fight with every single person? Like, no, I'm going to use donations. It's my word. Or are you okay with it? Do you know what I mean? Where you're like, all right, it's a word. Who cares? Mm-hmm. How do you deal with it? Do you let them run your emotions, or do you run them? That's the bottom line.
Yep.
That is a big thing to learn in life in general. And if you didn't grow up in that atmosphere, and that's like a whole new concept to you, knowing that you don't have to be the victim, that's like the scariest concept.
It is.
And sometimes, like, I definitely can run into that with my clients, and they're like, oh, I can give myself permission to have like control of how I feel. Like, yes, you can. And
right.
It just breaks your heart because, like, we all can be in control of how we think and feel about things. And it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to feel like devastated. It's just, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly. That's the difference. Is it has nothing at all to do with how you feel. It's what you do with it.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to feel upset. To say that it wouldn't hurt my feelings when someone's like, you suck. Of course it does. I have feels. But at the same time, like, what's the reaction though? What do you do with it?
Exactly.
I do actually have a random nutritional allegory question for you. So okay. I know that a lot of people have very visceral and emotional attachments to food. And by I know a lot of people, I mean me specifically. Oreos make me feel pretty, and they shouldn't make me feel as pretty as they do.
Double stuffed Oreos and then they start adding.
Whoa, what?
Sorry.
I think Oreos set everybody off.
Yeah. Oh, it's so visceral. No, what my thinking is so we are finding that now. I mean, so I lived in Japan for 4 years with the military, and I'll be honest, it was kind of terrifying. Some of those gamers over there die. Literally. Will game so long, they die. And that's not an exaggeration. You can Google it. This is Googleable. It happens very often, more often than I like, especially in like Korea and northern Japan. And I'm starting to see that extremely visceral emotional connection to games, where it's a way to transcend whatever they're going through, or it's also a way to get a false sense of self-esteem. Well, I'm nothing in my life. I couldn't get a good job. I got a crap job. But in my game, I'm a level 400 maxed out wizard. Everybody wants something from me. So people get extremely emotionally attached to these. How do you deal with that how do you deal with like leveling out people's emotional connections to food, because I think that's something that as parents, so my oldest is 17 and my youngest is 12. In that range is this whole gaming world is all in that age range, really. You know, anywhere from 12 to about 25 right now is what we're looking at. And it scares me. How do you deal with it? And is there a way that we could make that, you know, analogous with gaming?
So right from the jump, I make sure that my clients know that they are in the driver's seat. So whatever they're not able to feel because they're terrified to feel, I'm not going to make them. But I personally am like, so this is what you're signing up for though. So like, let's make this experience the best possible. I'm going to help you get there, but like you're going to be driving the whole way. And part of this is feeling your feelings. And when you go down that shame spiral, or you just literally abandon yourself, and then you're wondering why you're just in this mindset, like getting curious around it. I love just the thought of just getting curious. You don't even have to feel anything. Just kind of think, I wonder why I do this, you know? And like, I had a friend this weekend, she's been going through a lot. And she had, she's been going through a lot, and she went to the grocery store, and she ended up with like all these kid snacks. Like, she's like, teaches me to go to the grocery store when I'm in a certain state of mind, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did you get? And she's like, are you serious? Like, what? You're not shaming me? I'm like, no, why? Why would I? Was it good? Like, what delicious things did you get? And she's like, well, you know, I got like apple strudels and Oreos and like mac and cheese and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know? And I thought, yeah, it makes sense. Like, you're wanting to kind of go back to your childhood in terms of just like happiness, right? Mm-hmm. And like, you just want to be happy right now. And that's okay. Just, you don't have to live there. When you're ready, like, pry those Oreos out of your own hands and like put them down, you know? But for now, just eat those damn Oreos and be okay with that, because that's what you need in this moment. Like, our subconscious sometimes is like, I just really need to kind of feel happy. And one way that I know how to do that right now in my skill set, in my toolbox, is to eat childhood foods that made me happy. You know, mm-hmm. Some of us, you know, to not even think or feel, we just drink a bottle of wine a night, you know, like everyone has their vice. I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying, like,
I'm doing it wrong. Like, I'm here.
Like, there are some people who are like, I can't feel at all. And then it's like, well, why is that? Just getting curious. Last week, Jatobi, you and I were talking about whys, you know, why is the best question to ask yourself. Why am I doing this? Like, right. Why? And just being able to have that conversation and not push it under the rug. It's just powerful that can even exist. And then whether when the person is ready, that person will be able to talk and open up about it, you know, but just eliminating the shame, asking why questions, and know that, like, our subconscious does the best it can with what it knows how to do at that given moment, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. That's awesome. Okay, so what I'm hearing is we're self-responsibility with them, and then a curiosity as in pushing why, making them think maybe further, bigger picture, or expanding their perspective. And then the last one would be eliminating shame, mm-hmm. Right? Yep. How would I translate that? Let me think. I love what you said. Now I'm going to see if I can make it be a gaming thing.
Me too, because I'm just learning about this whole gaming thing too.
I love this. This is awesome, though. I love the back and forth because I can take yours and maybe see if I can put it on ours.
Yes.
So as far as making someone have responsibility, I think that's what we were talking about earlier, what I was saying, in that you own your own feels, right, in the game. So if somebody hurts you, if something is going on, the bottom line is it's your choice to either continue to play or not, and how do you react to it? That's that whole, your responsibility. I am not driving this. This is you driving. I'm here to support you, give you tools, and be there for you. But ultimately, this is your journey, which is, in both cases, is actually empowerment, right?
Haha, now we're there. This is gaming empowerment.
Right. Okay. So I like that. Okay, got it. So the first one, responsibility, is about empowerment. I like it. Okay.
And you can only say it with jazz hands.
Yeah, you see the dancer, right? Yeah, my ballet teacher would be so proud of me.
Sparkle fingers. Sparkle fingers.
So we did responsibility. The second one was crap. Can you help me remember? The second one was something else.
Excuse me. Can here. I'm the guy. I'm not supposed to remember stuff.
Let's see. The second one.
Curiosity.
Asking why, right? So that is always good. I mean, in general, just anytime that you, so in my opinion, life is perspective, right? Perception, and perception is reality. So how you look at a situation is hands down the most important part of any interaction and in your own mental health. Here's an example. I was on a train in London, and this dude and his 4 kids are on the train. I have my children. They are being very quiet and respectful. These kids are literally jumping all over people. I mean, over the seats, on people's shit. And he's just sitting there staring. And after a certain amount of time, because I'm that asshole, I walk up and I'm like, do you need help with your kids? Hint, hint. That's how his wife had just died in London. And he didn't know how to tell the kids. And he wanted them to have as much fun on the train ride home because it was the last time they were going to enjoy it. Life is perspective. The information you don't have changes everything. And how much of the information that we don't have is our own fault because we choose not to ask why, because we choose not to look at the whole picture. Because if we look at the whole picture, that could hurt. That could be my fault. I could be a part of that, and I'm not willing to do that, right?
This is actually something that we had talked about last week as well, which we had talked about what the word ignorance actually means. Ignorance doesn't mean stupid, doesn't mean dumb, doesn't mean just unintelligent. Ignorance means lack of knowledge.
Yep.
So ignorance breeds that hatred. Ignorance breeds that it informs your perception incorrectly. And when informing that perception incorrectly, then it causes that outcome and that how do you see things in a poor manner. So if I'm ignorant about ignorant about why the individual is sitting there, then I'm going to see that person not doing right, which is what happened to you, is what you described.
Yes, but I think it's actually a little bit bigger than that. I think the reason that happens is because yes, when we don't have all the information, that is what we do. But I don't necessarily think it always boils down to a negative. I think it boils down to our own perception, our own, we're going to fill in the blanks with the information we have. You know what I mean? Because we don't have all the information. Our brain wants a full picture. That's how we work, right? Our brain is attempting, that's how optical illusions work, right? They leave certain things out. Your brain kind of fills it in. Well, we do the same thing perceptually in every situation. Right? I mean, that's the bottom line. But the thing is we're always going to fill it in from our own perspective. It's the only thing we've got. And 9 times out of 10, it's wrong.
And honestly, the only reason that I went to the negative part is based on, again, how our perception is built on what we've done. So one of the big things that I've done in my past was improv comedy. In improv, you learn that the easiest emotion to deal with or the easiest emotion to portray to everybody out there is hate.
Valid.
It's the easiest. you can be mad at somebody and people know that. You can't, it's harder to portray happiness and serenity and joyfulness and peace and love. It's harder to portray those in a scene because it's harder to not only tap into, but to get somebody to tap into what you're trying to feel or what you're trying to express.
Same in dance.
Yep. So hate and anger. People pick up on that quick. So yeah, that's where that whole filling in that lack of knowledge. That's why I went there, because with the negative, because okay, he's probably done something bad.
Yeah,
probably just the worst person in the world, or that mindset. So it just fills in really quickly. I mean, if you like with Post Malone, I don't know everything about Post Malone. I think what he did with the money, with the gaming industry right now, where he's trying to invest, and then he was giving away some money to streamers or something like that. There was something else that he was doing, but
Post
again,
has been really good to us in our world.
So you know what I'm feeling on those ignorant points of the extra stuff that I'm trying to add in for him is positive stuff, because I like the guy.
Right. And that's that whole perception is everything.
You got it. So if it's somebody that I don't know, well, what did they do with that money?
Yeah. What do they want from me? Why are they giving that out? What are they trying to get from me? Yeah. And I would agree with that totally. I mean, so this is interesting too. So I'm a bit obviously football fan, and I lived overseas. I am an OU fan, which is very diehard, right? But what was interesting?
It's okay that you like the University of Michigan.
Sorry?
It's okay that you like the University of Michigan.
That's fine. I'm taking my weave off. Let's go.
He's literally going to find your address and then fight you.
Yeah.
You will not win.
But I already picked his ISP. I know where he sleeps. It's fine. I got this.
Yeah. You will be missing an eye next week. Don't mess with her.
No, I think the interesting thing is when I lived overseas, we only got certain games, right? And I got to that point where I realized I love football so much. I'm rooting for Texas. I'm rooting for teams I would have never in my life done. And I know this is a weird analogy, but I think the bottom line is we all have. Nope, it's gone.
It's okay. It's okay. I was there with you.
Blanked. I have no idea where I was going with that. Sorry.
I was there with you. It was the maize and blue that got you.
I liked it. Okay, back on track. Sorry. So our first one was empowerment, jazz fingers, like you said. Yes. The second one was asking why, forming a larger perspective, which I think is great in games, especially for the gamers and for the investors and tournaments and all of that. And then the fourth one was that elimination of shame. And I think that is something that's going to be, I think that's something that's happening in the sub economy for gaming as is right now, because it is becoming more mainstream, where it used to be like you were talking about, where our perception is it's some 35-year-old in his whitey tighties in mommy's basement, or, you know what I mean? Just jamming out with some Code Red and just doing his thing. And now it's becoming more Post Malone. It's becoming more phase. It's becoming more, and it's even become more mainstream in the fact that it's a viable income.
Yes.
So the old people do love their money, and they love that investment, and they love all of that. So, I mean, it's that elimination of shame, I think, is coming too. But you were talking more about individual shame on feeling bad for what you do. I'm not 100% sure that actually translates into gaming. Do you think? Are there people that feel shame over playing too much? Because I'll be honest, I've never met a gamer that said, I need to game less. I've only met gamers that are like, I really need to grind more. So
why did I pay attention to my day job?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not really sure actually if that last one translates, like trying to think it through how to translate that nutritional, how you deal with people and their kind of guilt eating more or less.
Shaming, like being shamed by other players, like the trash talk and crap. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm trying to hear.
How about this? Instead of worrying about that, how do we wrap what we've already created, that empowerment piece and everything, into creating a more inclusive environment? How can that come about? Because that's one of the toughest barriers. So inclusivity.
The
So-
35-year-olds in whitey tidies and the Post Malones.
But I think that's, honestly, I think that's why I like gaming so much is the inclusivity, if I'm honest.
So there's inclusivity in our gaming bubble, but across the gaming world, is there inclusivity that happens? Because, for example, in the PC world,
Right.
The PC world is dominated by whom?
PC world is dominated by Asians.
I think I know this one.
So
Or are you talking a game? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm talking about gaming in general. So, for example, a lot of Hispanic individuals and African Americans to even Black individuals across the globe really aren't into the PC side of gaming. Why?
Right. Well, yeah, white kids are all into it because they got the money.
That's what I'm talking about. How can we break down that barrier? Is it just about socioeconomics? Or is there more to it?
So yes and no. But I'll be honest with you, technology is about to get rid of that. So, and we're finding that more and more. I mean, 5 years ago, Activision did the crossplay between PC and Xbox and PlayStation. I think Epic did that a few years ago with Fortnite. I mean, you have quite a bit more crossplay. And if I'm honest with you, consoles are dying because it's going one of two ways. It's going PC because they're becoming more affordable, and it's going mobile because, my God, have you seen the chips in those things lately? I mean, they're running unbelievable numbers. And I mean, we're finding, especially overseas, like in the Southeast Asia market, we've got quite a few Filipino and Taiwanese players. And then in the kind of Central European area, it isn't necessarily about affluence because they're intentionally mobile gaming. That is their thing. And you're even seeing it in accessories. You're seeing how much further the mobile gaming is coming because they're selling like controllers you click onto your phone so that you have your joysticks when you play. And so the inclusivity in that and the socioeconomics kind of attached to that whole thing, I feel like this is an economy that we are not going to necessarily be able to predict, I don't think. And I don't necessarily think we should. I don't want to put ideas on it because I think it is new. And it is not only is it a whole new industry, a whole new way to communicate, but it's a new world we're in. We're in a world where information is at your fingertips. Communication's instantaneous. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, but in terms of it being a new and it being that new economy, which it's so true. I mean, the gaming industry right now grossed over profited over 160 billion plus 2 years ago.
More people put in an application for FaZe than for Stanford.
So would it be best? Let me put it that way. Would it be best at this point to try and put our finger on it to make it more inclusive for everybody, to push that? Because as you pointed out, the consoles are dying, and that's completely true. I mean, the Xbox Series X is mainly just a PC from 2 years ago with a brand new Raiden card in it. The PS5 is the same thing, except for it has a better hard drive. So they are PCs essentially. And plus with the 3090s and the 3080s, well, the 3060, which I'm really mad is coming out at supposedly $399. Is
it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be $399 for the 3060. Which sucks because the 3060 is better than, of course, the 2080 Ti from last year, which came out at like $1,000.
Well, actually, I think the 3060 and the 2080 have very similar specs, the only different. So I just, not to sound bad, but I just got my new computer yesterday with my 3090. Sorry, yeah. So I can't really talk. I've been waiting for it for a while. Those things were back ordered as hell, but yes.
Yeah, they are.
Yes. I'm one of those people. I'm sorry.
Oh, you lucky dog. But
how I sold a kidney for it. Does that make it better?
You got another one. Can you sell one too? So
I know, right?
One more. Come on. But is it there has to be some way to break down that barrier, because as you expressed is perfectly, yes, the mobile industry is much more diverse than the actual PC industry, which if we're going to that PC industry in there, how can we break down that barrier? How can we create a way for even those underprivileged who are just as good as some of these games and can have that same impact, not only in the gaming side of the world, but other things that it touches, the development side with artwork, with
Right, graphic design,
yeah,
marketing, the economy of it. I mean, hell,
that
money.
right there, I think is that treasure trove of stuff that we can break down that wall with. But how do we get there? What's that key? How can we open that box?
You know, honestly, if it were me, so one of the issues that I've always had with like scholarships and stuff is that it's racially based. I know that sounds dumb, but to me, the biggest disadvantage in life, period, is socioeconomics. So I would rather you give your 10,000 scholarships at a college to everyone whose parents make less than 50 grand, regardless of race. I don't give a shit what race they are. If they didn't have the opportunity to go to live in a good school district, they've never had the opportunity, you know what I mean? For any of those kind of additional amenities that we appreciate at a higher income level, because they're not afforded the opportunities. Once you miss that, you miss the opportunity. How do we level that playing field? So to me, I'm only just taking it as socioeconomics as opposed to race, just because that's how my brain works. How would we level that playing field? Well, I think we've been dealing with that for a long time, haven't we? How do we level the playing field? I mean, look at how schools are funded. Schools are funded by real estate, WTF. What does the price of the houses have anything to do with educating those children? So, I mean, you see broken systems economically everywhere. And we are attempting in private terms to compensate for that, right? With scholarships and FAFSA and all of this. You know, some of it's federal, state, some of it's private, but we are in some way attempting to offset that sort of disparity. How would we do that in gaming? So the problem is gaming intrinsically costs money. Period. You have to pay for something electric. You know what I mean? You have to pay for internet. Those are like givens, whether you're on a phone or not. You've got to have some way to connect. I don't know. It's really tough because to me, like education, food, all of that that should not have anything to do with socioeconomics at all. However, gaming is going to intrinsically have that because you have to. So could it be tied into education? Well, I mean, honestly, that's what we've been doing. So that's what Cedo Gaming has been doing. We've been going through to private schools and trying to figure out, because once we can get those contracts, we can go to the public schools and do it for free. You know what I mean? And give them that opportunity. There are problems, though. What hinders us is like, okay, say we go to, we lived in Valdosta, Georgia for a while, and the county schools get a lot of money because they have nicer houses. The city schools get very little. And I'm talking, it's this big. You know what I mean? It's a little South Georgia town. So the disparity is great, and it's really visible because it's a small town. One of the things that we were thinking was, okay, we'll go to the inner city school and we'll set up a computer lab, or we'll buy laptops, or we could do, tablets or something, which all seems fine and dandy until they go home and they don't have internet. Then what? Or they come to school and they practice at school. But how in the hell is 2 hours a day, or 2 hours 3 times a day? How in the world can you expect anyone to be competitive in anything against people that are doing it for 5 hours a day, every day at home? You know what I mean? So it sounds bad, but even that kind of help is almost too little. You know what I mean? It's a lot of effort and a lot of money for very little payout, not just for us, for the kids, I mean. Is it possible that we could tweak that goal then? That could be one of the areas that we could do. Because yes, if somebody's playing 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, you're definitely going to dominate that one person who only gets to play an hour out of the day. Right. And then they go home. Is it possible we could tweak that goal, knowing that their home life is different? They don't have internet.
but they can program on a PC that they are gifted by the school.
Oh,
So
well,
then if we twist
do
that
do that.
around,
I mean,
and then
all of
make
the
it
schools do that. So they do have Chromebooks that they allocate, at least that I'm aware of.
oh yeah. But what I'm saying is twist that goal around to where making kids understand. This goes back to that barrier. That barrier is not just from one side.
Mhm.
And I think that's one thing that, some people get stuck on is that, well, parents going to kids. Well, kids have to come to parents too and understand that the
Yes.
world isn't that.
Mhm.
So is that could that, attacking that barrier from the both sides and breaking it down that way, tweaking that goal and making kids understand, hey, look, gaming's one thing, but could you imagine people playing your game? Or
Right.
what would you feel if you could create a mod that makes the old thing makes the dragons in Fallout into
Right.
Thomas the Train Engine or Thomas
Right.
the Train, which is a real mod.
It is, yes, it is.
And
Yes
also,
and no. In my mind, I mean, I think you can, but so here's the deal. In my mind, it's just like any other type of advertising for any other thing. Like, right, you got, again, I always do football. You've got the players, but you're talking about support. You're talking about the media moguls, the
Mhm.
promoters. You're talking about all the behind the scenes, the financiers, the owners, the managers, right? Or coaching or any of that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. The thing is all of those people went down those roads in different ways.
Yep.
Your marketing managers, we didn't start playing football and then got into it. Like, well, when you can't do market, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We got into it because we liked the finance and the psychology of it and stuff like that. So I feel like the question that you're asking and the answer that you're wanting actually is a little bit broader, because I think it's not just gaming that you're talking about now. I'm not saying that those aren't aspects of gaming, for sure. 100% they are. And they're highly specified to gaming, the gaming genre, as opposed to like a football mogul can also be a baseball mogul, who could also be, soccer. Marketers can do football, but they could also do Coke, where this, like you're talking about programming, modifications, graphic design, that kind of market. I mean, that's all going to be in game only. Those are really only in this economy, in the gaming economy. You're not really going to see that anywhere else. So that is tough. I feel like it's broader. I feel like if that's what we're really going for, if somebody said, Siren, you've got $100,000 for this one school year to do anything, but I want to open a program that allows developers and streamers, graphic designers, media, all of that, right? Every single after school club would be involved. Your art club is going to be involved. Your AV club is going to be involved. Honestly, you're going to also have like your Spanish and French clubs involved. Their brains work hella different, and that's what they like. You know what I mean? They like that transitionary stuff between worlds. You open it up to every after school because every single one of them have different personalities, different ways of thinking, different, interests, but they all converge in gaming. So I would introduce the concepts of gaming to each after school program, corollary, isn't that your heart? Correlation to what it is. You know what I mean? So I would definitely like your math kids. We're going to have them as your coders. We're also going to do finance with them. You know what I mean? In-game financing or promotion and stuff like that.
See, and that actually is a perfect answer, because that's, again, breaking down that barrier. Because again, the parents on one side see gaming as what we talked about at the beginning, and we keep bringing up about that one little kid sitting downstairs in his grandmother's basement, and that kid is 30 years old playing video games.
Yeah,
it's broader than
that. The band can create theme music.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
And I think
both my boys are in band. My son's about to audition for college orchestral. Like, definitely have them in there.
And that's what I think kids have to start thinking about is even if they like gaming, gaming is bigger than just gaming. And I think that's that barrier that can come down on both sides.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think that's on the kids.
Well,
that's on us, people.
I completely agree because the kids aren't going to see it in the first place.
No, that's our job. It's our job to show them the opportunities and to allocate as many as possible. That's all we need to do.
And that's why this show is here. But we did get a question from somebody. I'm going to put it up on the screen real quick. Mm-hmm. As you can see, JD Humphreys. When I think of gaming, I think of skill as a prerequisite. How does that inclusivity extend to those novices? How has the pandemic provided a silver lining to gaming? More contributions and interactions. So what? Let's dive into this because this is a great question.
That's fantastic.
That's a lot.
Do you want to open up, or should I, or anyone else?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Go for it. I have random crap too, but will you leave it up for me?
Yep, I'll leave it right up there. For me, and that when he first talks about skill as a prerequisite, I think you gain the skill by playing the game, but it has to be something that, for me, gaming is all about interest and having fun. It's not, you don't have to have a skill to, like Rocket League. I love playing Rocket League now. I'm addicted to freaking Rocket League. I suck at it. I sucked when I started. I'm a little less sucky now, but I still suck at it now. Yeah. But I'm addicted and I enjoy it. How does that, and I would fit right into that category as a novice. I'm a novice in Rocket League, complete novice. I mean, I put in about 300 hours into it already. But again, that 300 hours is nothing compared to the 1,200 to 2,000 to the thousands upon thousands of hours these other players that have played for years on this game. And I think the pandemic itself has provided a silver lining for some people to, in the gaming world, to test out and try different games, but also for parents to be able to see and be involved with their kids playing a game, because some parents just don't have the time. But now that they have that time and they're having to follow what their kids are doing, they're getting involved with, okay, well, they're watching this YouTuber, Dan TDM, and oh my goodness, Dan is on Minecraft again, talking about the craziness in Minecraft. Oh, he now Myth is talking about poggers. Oh, what does poggers mean? Okay, well, now I just found out what poggers meant. So I think it's a silver lining there where it brings parents and kids together, but more contributions and interactions. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. But that was a brief thing because I wanted you to talk more.
Oh, okay. No, I totally agree, actually. So talking about skill as a prerequisite. If I'm honest, I'm pretty sure that that's kind of the point of the inclusivity, is extending to those novices. How does that inclusivity extend to those novices? Now, I think maybe what they're referring to more is gaming as a career, or gaming, not just the gaming world in general, possibly, because that is kind of the point. We've all been novices. And also there's that flip side, like I was saying, that trash talking is half the fun. In the gaming world, that is kind of a prerequisite, is being able to talk crap to the novices, and vice versa. You're going to lose. I'm still going to talk trash. I will say, great game. I'm going to have a great time doing it. They're going to have a great time. There's no hard feelings per se, but you know what I mean? The novice inclusivity, I think, is intrinsic, in my opinion. But when he's saying that he thinks of skill as a prerequisite in gaming, to me, that feels more like hardcore gaming, or in the gaming world, like real world, not just playing. As far as extending that inclusivity, I mean, on from our perspective, I think the biggest thing is, and this is something that I do on my streams, because in all honesty, I've never been on this side of the camera before. I've always been on the other side. So being on this side has been kind of crazy, and I'm not that good at it as a gamer, but I love it. And I'm happy to talk to people. And I think that us showing in the gaming world what it is to lose is just as important as what it is to win. And I think that extends the inclusivity, in my opinion. If you really want to extend inclusivity to the novice player, you have to show that it's okay to be a novice player. You can still love the game. You can still, and I think it's one of the reasons why I like Rocket League or Overwatch or Apex that are more goal oriented, that are more objective oriented, as opposed to individual kills or whatever, because then it's the strength of your team. You can be a novice, but say you're a healer or your outside flank or your point guard or whatever, or not point guard. That would be a terrible place to put a novice. Sorry. But
I'd love to see the point guard elf.
Oh my God. But you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, I feel like there are more games geared towards that inclusivity of the novice, where like Overwatch, I moved to mouse and keyboard. Oh, it was not cute at no point, but I played with with players continually, and we compensate for that as a team. And I think gaming is moving more towards that, where it used to be games were individual. Very few multiplayer games in the beginning, if any multiplayer games in the beginning. Multiplayer games have kind of evolved over time and technology, but that has bred, in my opinion, inclusivity for novices, is that multiplayer aspect where you're working as a team and less as an individual, and it's less one-on-one competitive, 2v2s, 5v5s. Those seem to work out really well. As far as the pandemic providing a silver lining to gaming, I agree with Chatovia. Like, I think there is a level of forced interaction between parents and kids. And I'm not saying that I don't love my children. Never saying that. But I don't always like them. Okay. And parents, we like it when they go to school, and not just because we're at work. Like, it's kind of nice. And I think as a culture, if I'm being honest, this is a random soapbox, but I think we've gotten a little too used to teachers raising our children for us. But now that they're home, there is a level of exposure to their world that I think we never really had before, because it was such clockwork. I get up, I get them done, they go to school, I go to work, and blah, 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 and it's a robot, and this is the American dream. Well, now the American dream's kind of been shattered, and it's getting redefined together as in whole family units, because you don't have a choice. You have to stay home with your fam. And I knew my kid played Rocket League. I didn't realize he was good. I didn't realize he had real friends there. Now I know. Now when he wants to stay on and talk to his people, I'm super excited for him. Yeah, talk to your friends in England, man. I know the time change is different. I'll give you 10 extra minutes. I think that's the silver lining there, is kind of towards what exactly what you were saying and exactly what you were wanting. That understanding, that reaching generational reach, or that gap breach, building bridges for sure. More contributions that I don't think I understand that one. What's the more contributions and interactions question?
I think that ties into I could be wrong, but I think it ties into the how the pandemic has provided a silver lining to gaming. I think that ties into the more I think it's a second part to that, the more contributions and more interactions. Which I think we all agree, that interaction is important in families. I mean, that's
totally.
And honestly, Kara, I guess this is where you could probably add in some more, where dealing with the interactions and how that, the health itself.
Oh, you know what? A translation for you is, a lot of those healthy foods are expensive as hell. So how do you get that inclusivity with people who don't maybe necessarily have the money to go to Whole Foods every single time to get, gluten-free, whatever?
Yeah. So a lot of people do think there is this misconception that the only way to get healthy or eat healthy foods is to go to Whole Foods. And that's not true at all. You can go to Aldi and and get a lot of stuff and for cheap. And, everyone's like, oh, but watch out for, pesticides, and watch out for this and that. And yes, we have to watch out for crap on our food and crap in our food. But the main point is eating produce, eating quality grains, eating, protein, fats, carbs in every meal. and just getting those basics down, and just knowing what that is and then where to find it. Even if, like, especially in my neighborhood, a lot of us have been hit big time with, losing jobs and whatever. So like, there's a free store, or like a food bank, right? There's like a food bank a few blocks away. And there's even like this free food fridge. I haven't really seen it like in a while, but we did have it for a while, just a couple blocks away from me. It was literally a fridge on the street, kind of like tucked in a store, but like people could come in and like get whatever they needed. And then people in the community, they would literally stock the fridge and then people would come get it. And so like, just kind of learning that. And then even like any vegetables you can get, like, that's important. So just knowing that it's not ideal. It's not as quick as packaged stuff, and it may not taste as delicious, but it is nutritious. And it provides more sustenance than the packaged crap you see. But I do kind of want to loop into, like, how has the pandemic provided a silver lining to gaming? So I'm definitely not a gamer, as we all know, but I read a story about, like, this morning, I read about how a Hollywood actress, she noticed that her daughters were playing like games for 5 hours, and she wanted to put a stop to that. So she controlled what they could do on their phone. And I get that, because you don't want them to become addicted and go down the rabbit hole of like consuming harmful content. I get that. But then I was thinking, well, if they're playing a game and they're feeling like they're accomplishing something or that they're getting good at it, wouldn't that be a good thing? So I think it goes back to what you talk about, Jatobi, with parents understanding that games aren't really a bad thing. Like the weird, like creepy TikTok videos, like in the dark corners of the universe, you have to watch out for those. But you don't, let's educate ourselves on what gaming actually is.
You know what? This is totally random, but not totally random, but off of what you just said. I don't know why it pinged me, but I'm going to forget if I don't say it. Asking how the pandemic provided a silver lining to gaming. Not only is there that, forced exposure for parents, but for children, especially extroverted kids like my oldest, gaming has been the silver lining in the pandemic for him, because it's how he's able to socialize. It's how he keeps his social hierarchy and emotional connections. They all jump on in and out of random games, but they're team working. He feels like he's, bonding with them still. And I don't care what anybody says, that is just as important as an education. The social interactions and learning those sort of, psychological interactions and dealing with yourself in a social hierarchy, that's part of school. That's why I'm not a proponent for homeschool, as weird as that sounds. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I just think social interaction is extremely important to mental health and development into adulthood. And that gaming has provided that in the pandemic. And I do think that parents see it, where they see their extroverted children. My introverted kid he doesn't give a shit. He never wants to go back. He's happy. But, seeing our extroverted kids like heartbroken, and there's no way for us to help them. I'm sorry, you can't go see your friends. I know it's your birthday. I know it's the 4th of July. I know it's Christmas. And that's tough over and over again every day. And so I do think that, at least on the flip of that, gaming has been a silver lining during the pandemic for kids, in that whole kind of keeping normality and allowing them to still have their own identities with their friends and keeping those relationships alive.
Also, JD popped in and he was expressing, to tag on to the more contributions and interactions was more innovations and enhancements. So it sounds like, other examples of different ways the silver lining, the pandemic was a silver lining to gaming. And I mean, innovations and enhancements. I mean,
in gaming, asking about innovations in gaming or in technology?
I guess technology, gaming wise.
Well, I would say that I think that the gaming community has, let me rephrase. I think the the secular community has pulled actually quite a bit from the gaming community during this pandemic, i.e., you guys ever heard of Slack? It's like a workflow for, yeah? You ever looked at it? Have you opened it? Guys, it's Discord.
Well,
I'm not even exaggerating. It is literally a rebranded Discord. They even call them channels and servers, the whole nine. You got emotes. Like, are you freaking kidding me? But we've utilized that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, it is. And the same, well, Microsoft Teams was before Discord.
Oh, well, yeah, but Teams isn't set up like Discord.
No, but the great
thing is, though.
And Discord, honestly, in terms of the innovations and enhancements and stuff, the things that they have done just to cater to what's going on right now, dealing with, like, everybody uses Zoom right now. Well, you know what? Discord opened up their video capabilities to do the same thing Zoom does, and you can have 99 people in the room for as long as you want to.
And it's not going to bog your system down. It's not going to shut down your process. I will
even crazier, even crazier, OBS Ninja. Not many people use OBS Ninja, but OBS Ninja is the same thing as Zoom and everything else. It's made by a dude out of Canada, but OBS Ninja, you can produce whatever show you want to all on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yes, you won't be able to set up the background pretty, but the thing is, you can do everything you can in a production facility with OBS Ninja.
Right.
And that's one of the innovations that I think it happened right before the pandemic, but I think it's starting to catch fire. Same thing.
I mean, Melon, Streamlabs came out with Melon. You've got this StreamYard. I use Restream. All these. But I would say that, okay, Discord is a prime example. So Discord is an open source PvP, right? PnP or PvP, kind of both server, right? And then you buy your own servers, blah, blah, blah. The thing that Discord has done wonderfully is they've continued to evolve with the gamers, which is intensely impressive considering the gaming world is instantaneous and international. It is nonstop. It is constantly evolving. Emotes are changing. All of this is, and you got to be on top of it. As a company, Discord did that by keeping it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. And then that allowed them the ability to roll. You're starting to see bigger companies now running like the digital and gaming companies, because digital gaming companies have always been on that kind of lightning path, if that makes sense. The moment that they put out the Xbox One, they've already started the specs for the Xbox X. You know what I'm saying? Those pieces are already coming in. They've ordered the parts. It's getting made. We already know what those chips are going to be clocking at and how you can overclock them. That is something in the gaming technological world that never really transitioned over to the real world, where Skype owned video calls. If they rolled at all the way that Discord does, Zoom never would have been a thing.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to see these bigger companies going, oh, you mean I don't have to wait around? I can just change and do what the people want and da-da-da-da. I feel like it's really brought that kind of lit a fire under the asses of people and let them know, like, it's competition time. Like, the gamers are here. We have the technology. And now that everyone's home and it's open source, bro, bring it. Your big company can't stand up to us.
Not only that, but then you have even those giant companies realizing if you take even still in that technology world, cell phones. Cell phone, the industry is completely different now than it has been. Right. If you take, for instance, at the beginning of last year, Samsung released the Galaxy S, what was it, 11 last year, the 21 last year, no, 20 last year. That was $1,000 some odd phone. It was some crazy, ungodly number. Well, you know what? Pandemic hit. Everybody started struggling. Google came out, and I picked up the Pixel. I'm a big time Pixel man.
Yeah. Me too. I love Pixel.
Oh, I do. But so when Google came out, Actually, they went the same way that what's that? The one was the one before it. Not the Pixel, but the
I'm an iPhone girl.
oh boo. But even what Google did and actually everybody else did, Apple is doing as well. They dropped the prices of their phones. Their phones are no
They're
longer
trying to. Apple is not catching up well.
well. Apple put out their Apple
12 mini.
Yeah, the mini and the other one, which are supposedly 700 and 800 bucks. Well,
Yeah, I'm
Google
still
is
rocking an iPhone 8, so
yeah, and so the Pixel 5 came out at 700 bucks. I mean, with the discounts and everything, you can get it for 500 bucks. But the 4A, which is just a larger version, but not with some of the extra tech specs, you can get for roughly about $499. But the thing, the price and the actual technology behind it allowed for the price to drop. But in the technological world, that's huge because now you have Samsung phones that are now coming out at such a lower price in comparison to what they were last year. Had we kept on that path last year, you're looking at easy the phones that would have come out this year being $1,500 to start.
Right.
But they're not that now. They're competing at that mid-tier market, which it should have been in the first place.
Right.
So technology wise, I mean, now everybody's focusing a lot on the programming side and that's why the phones are going to be a lot cheaper because tech specs really are one thing, but what it can do is what really sells it.
Well, we're also finding in the technology world, I mean, having done some coding and whatnot, I mean, the bottom line is the hardware firmware side only takes you so far. And we've come so far in new OSs, in new mods, like you're talking about, where maybe about 10, 15 years ago, we realized how much we can affect firmware with code. I mean, that's when we were writing Trojans and worms, self-coding worms in our own networks to intentionally overclock or reutilize firmware. They're starting to do that now in apps. Blows my mind. I was looking at some of the coding. We were talking, Cedo is looking to build their own app. So I was looking at some of the underside developer coding on some of these. You would not believe the utilization of the firmware nowadays that is just getting written into code. I mean, where we're taking, like you're talking about, these awesome pixels that are now actually affordable, and now we're focusing on, guys, what can you do with it? Like, what can we do with this firmware? What can we do with the code to make, really bump it up? And that's where, like you're saying, that's where you're really starting to see kind of growth in that, and why people are starting to really, I think, focus on that, because the A6 Bionic chip and y'all's Intel processor, they're all, at this point, they're so similar. You know what I mean? How do you differentiate? What would differentiate yours from mine? In my mind, it's the OS. It's always the operating system.
It is.
It's always the availability of certain apps.
So there were a few years ago, they had talked about how the next battleground, not only being the battery life, which, I mean, I'll admit, oh my goodness, Kara, I don't know if you've gotten the Pixel 5, but dear Lord, I'm loving the whole day and a half of battery time that I'm getting.
Oh, really?
Heavy usage, day and a half.
Look at her. She's like, what?
No, I'm old school. I have like the original Pixel and I love it because it looks like a little iPhone.
This thing, I kid you not, it's a day and a half and I will use this thing heavy. I cannot break the battery. And that was one of the battlegrounds that they had talked about being a big issue in the cell phone market, but also AI. And that was
AI's next in technology for sure.
And Google was one of the bigger ones pushing that. Microsoft has always been in the background pushing it, but they never really show anything.
Yeah.
Like people didn't even know about the HoloLens, even though the HoloLens came out before anything Apple was talking about.
That's a Bill Gates thing, though.
But
what's his wife's name? Actually, let me rephrase. It's
Melinda.
her, I think. I think she's the one who kind of
Melinda Gates.
She's awesome. I love her.
Phenomenal.
They're brilliant, though, and honestly, it is smart for them not to continually push this. I mean, if all the geniuses across the board are all saying, "Hey, let's not do AI because they'll eventually kill us," like I'm on board with that. kind of like hashtag
So-
no thank you.
By the way, on a side note, dealing with the HoloLens and the AR technology and the VR technology, I don't know if you guys have ever watched the show Black Mirror.
Oh
Love the show.
yes.
Oh my gosh, Kara, if you watch it, it's a disturbing look at reality, and it places characters in a dilemma. And the dilemma is very realistic because it's not set so far in the future that you cannot see it. It's like only a
Kind
few
of like
years.
alternate
Yeah,
universes.
it's like-
honestly.
Yeah, I have seen a couple episodes, and it is a little weird because it looks like it could just be any day, and then there is
Oh
this
my gosh.
futuristic element that
Mhm.
feels
Yep.
like it already exists today, and that people could possibly be dealing with this weird futuristic stuff already,
Yeah.
and that's creepy.
And so that's
Just stay in that house and not come out.
every time I think about the that technology, that AR and the VR, that's the first thing that pops in my mind. Is that's the way we're going with this? Is we're gonna
Scares the
have
hell
the
out of me.
surgical implants in the eyes, where okay, if you break a law, now you cannot.
Rewind it.
Yeah, if you do it, they can rewind you. You cannot see if you do something wrong to somebody.
Block people.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's creepy. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
although there was an episode where they talked about social currency. Wow, we're just bouncing around from topic to topic.
I know, we're all over. I
Love
love
this.
it.
But they talked about social currency, and that's dependent upon how
China's doing it.
you got it. And it's crazy about the social currency thing because the way they set it up in Black Mirror is similar to the way they're doing it in China.
Ooh.
If you're mean, you lose points. You can't get credit.
I mean, and it was like you have to have a 4.7 to live in this neighborhood. Like what?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I can't get a bank loan because I'm mean.
And that's exactly what China's doing, like IRL in real life.
Oh, it's creepy. Oh, but yeah, it's coming.
So,
It's coming
like,
at some point.
Our random currency can add up to a cardboard box. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Really sad. That's super scary. That's really sad.
But that's the way that they set it up in the film, and oh my goodness.
I think it's also speaks to like straight up democracy as well. Like open democracy, you know, probably not as great as you think. Like everybody talks about America being a democracy. It's not. And we don't want that. Democracy, a true democracy is American Idol. I don't want my country to be American Idol. Everybody. So that is kind of also what that is, because it's a pure democracy. Everybody gets to vote on everyone else, and that's 100% pure democracy society. No, thank you.
Yeah. But staying on the technology side, I don't know if you guys saw the metahuman thing that Epic is now doing.
Elaborate. What are you referring to?
Okay, here I'll show you. This
I'm
is a little
excited.
freaky. This is pretty freaky. Let me see if this will let me do it. Okay, here we go.
No sound.
Oh, the sound's not coming through. Let me see if I'll turn it up through here.
Or maybe it's just me. Do you have sound, Kara?
No, it's the way
muted.
I'm
It's
Simon,
muted.
a human.
Oh, there it is.
I was created by an international team of artists and engineers who wanted to challenge our ideas of what a synthetic human could be. I've got state-of-the-art real-time graphics and an unprecedented level of detail in my eyes, skin, and hair. Cool, right? But I'm more than just a collection of fancy pixels. I'm actually being driven by a real human actress and her dynamic motion capture through Unreal Engine. So what are you waiting for? Come meet me at the Vicon booth and see for yourself.
Ah,
Yeah, that's freaky.
Her expressions are almost aggressive. They're
siren.
to turn on you and start eating your flesh. Like that's the vibe I got.
But in terms of technology wise, that is what Epic is working on. That's
I
one
mean,
of
to
the
be
big pushes.
fair, and not to sound really mean, but that's actually not new technology. She said it
No.
was basically capture suit and an actress. I would be impressed if that were a program.
Yeah. But that's what Google. But think about Google's AI stuff.
Yes, that is where they're going.
That whole. Have you seen the artwork that they've done out of Google Dreams?
Yes. Holy crap! It's cool and terrifying at the same
I know.
time.
Kara,
Like,
I don't
the
know.
more
if
I
you've seen
liked it, the more I was like, "Oh my god, that's actually scary."
Where they recreated the different artworks, and it was all
Well, art
dark
styles, right? It
Yes.
was like they would tell it paint a landscape of a mountain in Van Gogh or whatever, and then it would make these beautiful pieces of art. Which, okay, that's not scary. Or the Microsoft one that created the symphony. Did you see that one?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And he would input, like in the style of Chopin, in the style of Bach, in the style of, and then just say it's got to be, this meter or this time frame and in this key, and it would produce a song.
And it's all AI, and that's the freakiest part. And that's our next hurdle that everything's going past.
Yeah. I mean, are we okay with that? I mean, I'm good with that. I think that's good.
Yes and no, because I like movies.
Little Terminator 2 style.
You got it. First thing that pops in my head is Skynet.
Yes. Has to be Skynet. That's the one. Always.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's
I see AI more though, honestly, in like endoscopies or laparoscopic surgeries where they would self or autocorrect by learned behavior. So, hey, I'm doing a burst appendix. We have appendicitis, right? And then going in and going, oh crap, it not only burst, now we've got this fissure here. And it being able to allocate its resources to fix both or to maneuver around. To me, that's where I see AI genuinely shining, is in automated systems that make it auto course correct. Is that not? That's what we're actually going for. Like, everybody's talking about personalities and all this shit, but really the actual AI hurdle is allowing the program. AI would be defined as the program auto-correcting and learning from data input, right?
Yeah.
Continually utilizing new input as output. That would be AI. So I don't necessarily think it's about like making another like race. But yeah, that next
hold on.
Of automation.
I watched Westworld.
Oh my god, I love Westworld too.
Even though season 3 was kind of
they got rushed. They got rushed. So good.
But then there's a game called Detroit. I think, Kara, I showed it to you. Did I show? I don't know if I showed it to you or not. Detroit is basically, I don't know if you've seen it, Siren. Detroit is a great game. If you like Westworld, if you like, oh my gosh, because you play one of 3 protagonists. Well, you play all 3 at one point at each part of the game. But what you do during the game is you're playing. Feedback. Uh-oh. I don't know why I'm getting feedback. But what you're doing when you're playing the game is you're basically an AI, and you have to go through an actual scene, and you are placed in a dilemma. And some of those dilemmas are, well, actually all of them are really tough because you are that AI and you have to be bought and sold, which first puts you in a very bad state of mind. And then you go in and you're having to deal with one of the examples. I'm not going to say too much about it.
I was going to say, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know. It's a big spoiler. Because you're bought by a single dad who's an alcoholic, and you find out is abusing his daughter. Do you break that wall that AIs are all supposed to not really injure another human? Or do you just allow the abuse to take place? So it puts you in that dilemma, and that's just one of the many that it puts you in.
Okay, but here's my thing with AI. If we're talking about AI as sapient, okay, here's the difference between AI and humans, and here's the reason why I don't like these kinds of games, is because we are sapient and sentient. Okay, sentience is plants are sentient. Sentience just means that you feel pain, you react to stimuli. Okay, computers or AI would only be sapient. They would only be thinking. There wouldn't be the pain thing, and their way of thinking, their way of processing information is going to be colored completely different. And we also wouldn't be able to necessarily understand them because fear, pain, all of those very identifying as a species emotions are never anything that they'll deal with. And it's not a program to make. So evolutionarily, we have been programmed to, respond to pain, respond to stimuli like that, right? Because we are sentient, but we're also sapient, so we think it through. We're not just reacting to stimuli and pain, we're also using our brains. They wouldn't have that. They would only have brain.
That would go into that conversation of, could it be programmed? Because if fear is a reaction based on the information that we take in, is that
we probably have a different sort of fear. I don't necessarily know that we would have to program it, because if AI is truly compensating for situations with new information and being able to use that in the out process, then they're going to create some version of that for themselves, but it won't be off of physical stimuli, which is what we process information through, right?
They'll essentially be like Vulcans.
If only they were that cool. They'd probably be more like Romulans, honestly, and be a little bit more highly volatile and emotional for no freaking reason at all.
That would be interesting.
They did have the Borg. The Borg didn't really care about anything.
Hive minds. That's different.
Yeah.
Don't start getting into the Queen and stuff like that. I'm not even going to go there with you right now.
No, because I'm already on to Rick and Morty, who had the hive mind as well.
Yeah. Unity.
Yes.
Yeah. I got you. Person, are you trying to tell me that you're a female Asian? Is that what's happening right now? Because I think we're exactly the same.
It's in there. It's in
okay.
There. Actually, you know something? I did have an aunt. She passed away 2 years ago. No, actually 3 years ago. My apologies. Yeah, she was Asian. Look at there. See, we could be related.
I like it. I love those questions. Do we have more questions? That was super fun.
No, because everybody's quiet. There's actually a couple of people, a bunch of people watching.
Yes.
Everybody's kind of quiet right now. But that's okay. That is okay.
Somebody speak to us.
We're ready.
For those that are watching, again, Kara is doing a special project.
What is the nutrition for you?
You have to DM her at Deepened Roots Health Coaching. Just DM her there.
Instagram.
Yeah. So, since we only have roughly about 15 minutes left, and I love the fact that we go on and on about the different topics, I am curious. My curiosity, what game has you completely hooked right now?
Honestly, Overwatch right now.
Really?
Overwatch 2 is getting ready to come out, and now I've got the 3090. So,
did you hear 2's getting pushed till next year?
I'm sorry, what?
Yes. Overwatch 2 is getting pushed till next year.
Sorry, what?
Yeah. I read that 3 days ago or a few days ago. It came out in an email. They were talking that Overwatch 2 and the new Diablo's not coming out till next year either.
Screw Diablo. I don't care right now. Everything's dead to me. I have been grinding so hard. Okay, Ashe is my favorite, and this skin for the Lunar New Year, she's Asian.
Okay. Oh, very nice.
And so I've been grinding so hard because I was like, I want an Asian Ashe. Asian with blonde, like freaking, I'm here for it. No, it's dead to me. I don't want to talk about it.
No. I mean, we can always talk about Hanzo. Hanzo was the man. The bow and arrow.
Oh, Hanzo.
Love me some Hanzo.
Hanzo. I play with Diva all the time, so I can't really talk. But other games, I mean, I haven't been gaming that much lately. I feel like the working part, the being an adult part. Ugh,
Yeah, adulting does kind of get in the way sometimes.
I know, right?
I'm determined to get Kara back or actually into gaming. I know her brother plays it, but no. My goal is to get her into gaming. So that's why I need to know what game you're hooked on. So hopefully Kara will take time to try it out.
I've been playing Sudoku lately. I feel like my brain's
you like puzzle games. Puzzle games are perfect. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. There's a game that I play. It's like a sliding game, and you add them together. It's called 2048. It's old school, super old, but it's like my favorite. There's a variant of that that I have that is by threes instead of by twos. So it's like instead of sliding together like a 2 and a 2, you have to slide together a 1 and a 2 to make a 3, and then the threes will all combine.
Oh wow!
It's like a whole different step, like a different level, but it's really addicting. It's super fun. I'm a huge tower defense game too. So like I have like the Plants vs. Zombies 2. I'm really into those. I love tower defense games.
Yeah, Plants vs. Zombies is actually a lot of fun. So except for when they try to do the first person shooter Plants vs. Zombies. That didn't make any sense. It was not the game.
No. But I do love tower defense games. If you like puzzle and strategy games, tower defense games are fun.
Yeah.
I'm Googling. Okay.
On your phone, there's one. Let me think. There's a tower defense game. There's the Loons, the monkey balloon game. That's a pretty basic tower defense game. I play the aliens one because they have sheep, and then the aliens come and steal the sheep, and I think it's hilarious. It sucks. Girl, you should get into those. Those are super fun. Oh, and then there's the hexagonal puzzle thingy.
What's the name of that one? I know which one you're talking about.
I feel like I need to show you guys all this stuff.
I want to Google a hexagonal puzzle thingy and see what Google does.
Basically, they're like little dots, and they give it to you. Do you remember those old school puzzle games with the weird shapes? And you used to have to fit them into the shape and make the shape. It's kind of like that. So it's a hexagon. It's got a bunch of dots in it, and then they give you these weird shapes that are kind of the bubbles, and then you make them into lines. And then every time you have a line, it clears out. It's awesome. And if I had my phone, I would totally show you.
This is the one that you should get for your computer, since you like puzzle game. Yeah, it was free on the Epic Store. I decided to download it. It's a simple game of organizing. That's all it is.
Nice.
Oh gosh, that's the nerdiest thing I've ever heard. I love you so much for that.
Oh, nice.
Warehouse training. What's it called again?
Wilmot's Warehouse.
Oh, so I'm in the Epic Store right now. Like that's happening. Wilmot's Warehouse.
Then you just move the banana. You have to move the banana over to the square.
Oh crap! Okay, here's a question. Have you guys played Among Us?
Yes.
I refuse to do it.
Why?
Because everybody and their dog's like, you need to play Among Us. Among Us is the best. Everybody does Among Us. It's all the cool kids. You want to be a cool kid? You should play Among Us. No.
So there's a program that I started with the Durham Police Department here, dealing with the youth that they contact and work with. Mm-hmm. That's actually the game the kids want to play with the officers the most.
Oh, I know everyone loves that crap.
You got to play it. Don't get me wrong. It's not the greatest game, but it is a great game for the time because all it is it's fun because the whole time you're trying to defend yourself so badly. I didn't do it.
They are going to take me. I feel like every time I'm so guilty all the time. I won't even be the killer and I'll just be like, I did it. I'm sorry.
Oh, but that's the best part.
Where's that shame spiral?
That's exactly a total shame spot. Just does anybody have Oreos? Because I think I killed. Like, I'm sorry.
The
I need
worst
to go
part
to
is
my happy place.
when you sit there and you're watching, because there's like a security camera and you can see all the like hallways and stuff and some of the boards, and you see somebody get killed on security camera. That's the worst. Because then you're like, I didn't do it. I was in security. No, you weren't. No, you weren't.
Liar.
That's what I was doing.
So tomorrow is our 24-hour stream on Cedo Gaming. Actually, all of the marketing monsters will be on.
Oh, very
And
nice.
I am going to have to play Among Us, apparently.
Okay.
Aw, sorry.
Silly boy. You say hello.
Man.
Hi.
I double for watching.
Okay. Go get it. Go get Layla.
Where were ya?
She's in there.
Aw.
No door.
This is what I get to deal with the whole day.
Lucky man.
Last week he was a raptor. Like he was just squealing. It was cute. This week he's just chilling.
That's awesome. I want to be a raptor for a week. Is that an option, or are we too old for that?
I feel like
the
the more of a raptor you are, the more people will leave you alone, and then you get quiet time to yourself.
Yes, I like it. You gave me an end goal and everything. Like I was just gonna go for broke for fun, but you gave me something to work for. I like it.
Yeah, when in doubt, like act crazy, be left alone. It's my recipe for life. I want to be left alone. I'm just gonna look nuts.
I am with you. I am oddly enough an introvert, so I'm the same with you. Give me my games and give me my space, and I'm good. Can I have coffee? Stop talking to me. Don't make eye contact. I love you. Goodbye. That's it.
Yes.
I guess since we're coming up on 3:00, I guess we'll go ahead and begin to close out the show. What I want to do for the end before we close out, first, thank everybody for coming to watch. And thank you guests for coming. But first and foremost, before we go, please, Siren, tell everybody how we can watch the 24-hour stream, how we can follow you, how we can help Cedo.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit more before we close out.
So if you do play Fortnite or Call of Duty, you can find us at cedogaming.com. We have all of our registration and all of our rules and regulations there. Our 24-hour stream starts tomorrow, actually, with our Fortnite Friday tournament at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then it'll go all the way through our Call of Duty tournament, which begins at 4 p.m. Eastern for our UK and all of them guys. And then at the end of that will be but tomorrow it's going to be super fun. So I'm super excited because not only is it all of us together, which by the way is the first time all of the monsters have been together, but we are also going to be doing some pretty fun incentives. Like you tip us $10. You can pick which monster you want to wax and where they get waxed and random fun stuff like that. We've got candy, socks. It could be candy apple. You can find us really on any social platform at Cedo Gaming. We're on Facebook. We'll be Facebook Live. We'll be on YouTube Live. We'll be on Twitch Live as well. And we go on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
Perfect. And of course, my co-host, partner in crime, Kara, please tell everybody. Come on, preach on it. Where can we send the information, the definition of nutrition?
So what nutrition means?
Yes.
Yeah, what does nutrition mean? Because I love to hear answers. It's like, it's my favorite. Anyway, so you can tell me on Instagram. Find me under Deepened Roots Health Coaching. You can also email me if you feel like it, deepenedrootshealthcoach@gmail.com. But yeah, find me on Instagram. Click on the link in my bio for some more happenings. I have a podcast, Deepened Roots Podcast. So check that out as well. And all that jazz. But yeah, I need to know more answers. What do you think nutrition is? I like to know things. So tell me.
Awesome. That is perfect. I hope people send you some information, Kara. I'm gonna send it off in my Discord. Hopefully, some people from there will send it to you. Also, Siren, I got some Fortnite players that might come your way to play Fortnite Friday stuff.
Awesome.
Send them back my way for Saturday for $5 solos.
For sure.
But yeah, thank you guys for joining me on Gamers Den. Thank my guests. My guests were amazing. Please make sure to follow these guys all the time. Siren dances to any music that you play. The jazz hands and sparkle fingers.
Yes.
Yes.
And one of these days for Kara, I need whoever's watching who may have contact with Little John to get, hey, Little Johnny on.
Inside joke, but yeah. Hey, yeah. What does nutrition mean, Lil John? What does that mean?
That's all I can think in my head. Is like, yeah.
But all right, thank you guys, and we will see you guys next Thursday, 1:00 here on the Gamers Den.